So I was cleaning out my stuff the other day and I found that I still have this box of mini canvases, these 3" by 3" mini canvases, and I bought these from Amazon a while back when I was still in my painting phase, and I wanted to create some mini paintings to use potentially for larger paintings, but ever since I kind of fell off the wagon with painting, I haven't touched these in so long, and it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left. I don't know what I did with the other 5. I don't remember anymore. I know I did like one mini painting in the past, but I think the rest, I tried using it with my Pentel oil pastels just to see what it would be like, and I don't think I ended up liking how it turned out, just because I didn't think that the Pentel pastels and the canvases mixed well together, and so I guess I must have thrown those away. But I think I'm going to try to retry and recreate some of those old oil pastel mini painting drawings or whatever with my Mungyo oil pastels. And I also read online that if you sand down your canvas a little bit, because it's primed, so it has gesso on it, and usually with oil pastels and canvas it's best when it's not primed because the pigment holds better onto the canvas, which makes sense. And so I'm gonna try to sand down the canvas first before I draw on it. But I think for this vlog I might just try to do a couple of these guys just to see how the Mungyo oil pastels would work on them, and just so I can reuse these guys again. And I'm thinking, because they're so small, I might just do something simple, maybe like a sky study type of drawing with these mini canvases, and see how that goes. Okay, so we're just going to take one of these guys and just open it up. And so when you open them up, you can tell that it's been primed. And so I'm just going to take this sandpaper and I'm just going to sand it a little bit. Just enough to kind of smoothen it and remove some of that primed acrylic gesso on the surface. My sandpaper is obviously used and dirty and kind of got some on there, but that's fine. We're not making anything formal out of these, so that should be good. And what I've come to learn about these mini canvases is if you don't have like a mini easel, sometimes if you put too much pressure, you'll kind of get an indentation from where the framing of the mini canvas is. So that's inevitable. I don't have anything to pad the back with, so I'm just gonna, for the sake of this time lapse, so that the piece doesn't move around too much, I'm just gonna put painter's tape onto the back side. Watching some of my videos, I'm realizing how much painter's tape I use. It's like almost every single video I am using tape for some reason. Right, so we're just gonna tape 4 sides, and then we'll just plop the canvas onto the table and stick it in just like this. And then we are just gonna draw on it with a color pencil just for a quick sketch. So yeah, I'll usually just Google a reference photo, but I don't try to copy it just because I don't like to do very realistic looking clouds, or just in general, I don't really like to do much of realism. I like to put my own kind of spin to it. And so this reference photo that I'm using, it's just from Google, and I like this because it's a good mix of blues and warm color, like blues and oranges and cool colors and warm colors. And it looks kind of like a night sky, like a very exaggerated night sky. And so I'm just loosely drawing this in, really no art to it, and really I just need to map out which areas of the canvas I am not going to color in just yet, because when I'm doing skies, I like to do the background first and not the clouds. And so I think that's good, that's whatever. And I'm just gonna take this color. I like to mix, because that's the best way you'll get a good variety and range of colors, is if you, especially with pastels, is if you blend and mix your colors together. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going around those clouds that I just drew, just subtracting them from the canvas essentially. In the first pass, I don't like try to put too much pressure onto the canvas with color, because I'm gonna blend it anyways. And since my last video where I made those blending sticks, I still have not made any more blending sticks than that one. I kind of got lazy, and so I've just been using toilet paper, no, not toilet paper, paper towels, and Q-tips are also some of my favorite blending materials with oil pastels. So because this is a small canvas, I am just going to use Q-tips to blend colors a little bit. And I find that depending on what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to achieve, cotton swabs, I think, are good once you have already established a bunch of layers. Otherwise, if it's like your first layer, the cotton tends to pick up some of the pigment, especially when it's on paper, I find. And I like that look sometimes when I've already achieved a certain amount of layers, and I really don't want the layer underneath to move so much. Mostly I'm trying to just blend what's above, and cotton swab is good for that. But typically when it's like large swaths of space that I'm trying to cover up, I find that the paper towels, I like the texture of it a lot. And if it's your first layer of color onto your surface, it doesn't pick up as much of the pigment. It spreads it a little bit better than the cotton swab does. So we're just gonna kind of fill in, establish where the clouds are gonna go. Just map it out a little bit, take away some of the edges. And then once you get your background kind of the way you like it, I think that's the best time to start putting in the colors for your clouds. And so I think for the rest of this, I'm just gonna put it on time lapse. I don't know how well my camera is focusing while I'm doing this video, so For the rest of this, I am just going to do a time lapse. This is the final product, and I don't exactly like how it turned out. I feel like there's a lot of contrast with this reference photo that I used because the sky is a very, very dark blue and the clouds are these bright orange, and I don't think I achieved exactly what I was trying to achieve. From afar, it looks good, I think. But these pastels are a little bit tricky to work with on this mini canvas. I think that the pigment slides a lot because I feel that there's not much for them to grab onto, and it could be because of, you know, the super cheap primed mini canvas. But I think it's still pretty fun to work in one of these. But I think I'm gonna work on another one that's just a simple blue sky that doesn't have a lot of contrast. That way I could really just play it up to the values of the blues. And so maybe we'll have a better outcome, but this isn't so bad. Stuck them on my wall, and this is how they both look like. I think I like this one better just because it's a lot simpler and I feel like I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it, though I do think it needs a little bit more contrast and a little bit of shadow here and there with some gray. But the Mungyo pastel set doesn't have a very good, at least the one that I have, doesn't have a very good range of grays. So I really have to mix in a lot of dark blues and whatever gray that they have just to kind of achieve it. But I think that it turned out okay. It looks really cute side by side like this, and I think I might actually take these two and put them up in my office desk just so I have a little something there. But yeah, this was a really fun exercise. Both of them took about 15 minutes each, so for 30 minutes, not bad. So I think for the rest of the afternoon, I'm just gonna keep working on my big piece right here, which since then, since my last vlog about it, I've really made some pretty decent progress here. I'll switch sides. I think last time I didn't have the paper completely filled out yet, but for the most part, I think I've gotten most of the paper covered with, you know, my initial layer of pastel. So I think I am about ready to really start getting into the meat of the drawing, which is starting to carve away at the blobs of purple and orange to create my little wildflowers. So I think that was a good warm-up with the mini canvases, and I think I am ready to start on this guy again. So I think that we are finally in the ugly phase of the drawing. You can kind of see where I started carving out the forms for the wildflowers, and usually this face is the craziest looking just because all the big blobs of orange and purple start to kind of look like puzzle pieces now. But it'll make sense later on when I get towards the end and have most of them kind of carved away. But one thing that I noticed is this first portion of the drawing where I started carving away at the orange, I was drawing kind of meticulously. I was really thinking through where I was going to carve away the orange next, and I felt like after I got through that swath that it felt a little, I don't know, what's the word, maybe constricted looking, because I realized once I started drawing a little bit more loosely, the forms are a lot more of how I wanted it to look like, a lot more flowy and natural looking. You can kind of tell that little spot compared to everywhere else that I started carving away, how kind of tight it feels. And I think from working on my previous drawing that I remembered that I should start kind of big and kind of loose and not to get into carving away the smaller forms right away, because it ends up looking like this. It ends up looking really tight. So I think the way to go is to go loose first, go big, and then once I kind of get that situated, that's when I'll start carving away within those spots. And so this isn't a total lost cause. We can still fix that later on, but this is the progress so far, and I'm really excited. Even though this is the ugly phase, this is also kind of the exciting phase because you finally get to see all the flowers come to life. So I think that is it for me. I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Bye!